I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to AfterBuzz TV's After Show for Penny Dreadful's City of Angels. I am your host, Cody Epperson, and I am joined by some wonderful co-hosts. First and foremost, we have Adam Carr. Hello.
Hey, what's going on? Awesome episode this week. A lot of love, a lot of intrigue. Throw some Nazis in there. I'm in. It was great.
We have Toree Weaver with us as well.
Hello, everyone. So glad to talk to you guys today and really dive into this episode. So let's get to it.
And we also have the wonderful Bryant Santos.
Hello. So excited to be here with you all. This is such a fun show. There's a lot of twists and turns this episode. So excited to get into it.
Happy birthday, Bryant.
And happy birthday. And last but certainly not least, we have a special guest with us today who works on the show. Lyrik Cruz is with us in our Zoom studio.
Thank you guys for having me.
Welcome.
Our pleasure. Thank you for being here. All right, guys. So today we are talking about episode 3, Wicked Old World. And before we get into it and talk with Lyrik about everything, I just want to get some overall thoughts. Adam, how did you feel about this episode?
I think it was great. It started off, a little bit with Lewis here and Nathan Lane. We're seeing just a lot of sadness, a lot of after last week, with his friends getting shot and killed. We see, things explore more with Sister Molly, what's going on there. Tiago's dealing with kind of like the crossroads that he's at. Mostly, I love the episode. I mean, it just keeps going, and you kind of find out there's a lot of twists that we can talk about later. But just overall, Brian, what about you?
Loved it. Super excited to have Lyrik here with us to talk about that amazing dance number. My dancer inside me, it was like screaming. Loved it so much. Loved it good. I don't know if that's swing, not really, because that's more like 50s, right? Is that swing? Whatever genre it was amazing. I love seeing it. And yeah, overall, the episode was really good. There was a lot of different moments, especially like moments I always talk about with these kind of show where like you can't look at your phone because like one little like wrong move and then something crazy is gonna happen and you're gonna miss it. So like I almost missed that last big moment with Councilmen Townsend, and I was like, oh, okay, that's the shirt's coming off. All right then. So that was definitely interesting to see. So I'm super excited to break into it.
Toree, how about you, my love?
I am really enjoying how the Angel of Death has been in every pocket of the show. Yeah. Like I am really enjoying that. Every time you think that she's done with her Master of Disguise-ness, she pops up as someone else, and she's playing each character so well, or each, I guess, like persona so well. Like it just keeps drawing me in. And like Bryant said, I was living for the dance number. So it was a good episode. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. It was super cool. Speaking of, the dance number, like Lyrik, this episode was amazing. Like that whole scene, like I was smiling the whole time. Please, like, tell us about what you're doing, how you're a part of this, and how you feel about the episode.
I was one of the principal dancers in the scene. The choreography team was led by Tommy Tong, who's worked with Penny Dreadful back in London, and now he's here with John Logan working on the show. It was, listen, I've worked on quite a few sets, but there was something really special about working on this project. First, John Logan, the executive producer, he has so many endearing qualities that you rarely find from executive producers when you're on a set. And, it was 104 dancers in total, like the best Latin and swing dancers that are in Los Angeles all filmed this scene. So, we were super ecstatic to all work together because we don't get many opportunities where all of us are in the same room working the same project. But Tommy and his choreography team, they were so ready for us when we walked into those first rehearsals. And we're trying to understand the storyline as we rehearse. We were in pre-production for like 10 days before we started filming.
Dang.
It's 104 dancers. It was a lot of crowd control at the Crimson Cat. But, it was, once we were able to dive into what the scene was and the storyline of Penny Dreadful this season, it's so amazing, how it's highlighting the Chicano culture here in Los Angeles, So once you're there and you start realizing what you're a part of, this is probably one of the best dance scenes that have ever been created for narrative television.
Oh
Love
yeah,
that.
and all I could think, I mean, there was so much. I loved it, every moment of it, but it was just all I could think is like production wise, like, oh my gosh, there's so many bodies in this, and like the space and the lights, like it was fabulous. I am not a dancer, but I'm great at dancing, and I am a sucker for good dancers. Like, oh my gosh. So
I'm just happy that everyone looked so energetic because we filmed for 6 days and they were like 16-hour days of back to back. So by the last day, we were all fighting, but again, the energy of 104 of us, we were able to keep it up, and it was so exciting. You guys understand what it is. For me, I've been in the industry since I was 9 years old, and I'm still fascinated when I get to see the magic come together, So looking at that dance scene and just the power of it, and the entrance, and then Sebastian Chacon, who's playing Fly Rico, he was so scared at first, but we made him so comfortable that he totally went in on it, and he looked beautiful dancing, and like everyone was so committed, and it was electrifying to watch, and sometimes you forget when you watch those things, like, wow, that's me in that corner dancing, you're mesmerized by the entire situation.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine being a part of something like that. Like, I've done stuff on set, but like never to that, just that extreme.
Yeah, it was a pleasant surprise for us. It was nice.
But like and I feel like everything we kind of want to hit kind of one of the things I really want to hit that stems from this is that Natalie Dormer, her character in the show she is, oh my gosh, her name is Rico in this scene. Or it's not Rico, Rio.
Yeah.
Her name is Rio. And it was just such a fun reveal that, like, oh, here she is again. And now she has 4 different characters in the show. I'm not even sure who all of them are anymore. But
same.
like I checked IMDb just to double check. She has 4 different character names, and I kind of am getting the mix up who's who now. But I kind of wanted to open that up to you guys, like she must, like, her character must have, like, as her main self, like as this angel of death, she must be like, there's got to be some, she's stirring many pots and she's cooking something. So Toree, tell me what you think about Natalie and all her different characters and how they're all going to come together.
It's a lot going on, and like you said, any corner that she's in, she's stirring the pot, and I'm just like, girl, this is not going to end well, but then that's the point. So I guess it's ending well for you, but not for everybody else. I mean, like you said, it's easier to remember who her person is when she's adjacent to someone. So like, I can't really remember the names either, but when she's with Dr. Kraft, I'm like, girl, you about to go into this man's house with his wife and kids, stirring up the pot. I don't like that. So I was like, ooh, that's going to be a mess. When she was Rio, she was really, first of all, when she was Rio, I like how she like went into her backstory of like where she comes from and stuff like that, just to kind of address the elephant in the room. Because I think a lot of people were kind of like, girl, why are you here?
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was like,
yeah, but I like how they like found a way for it to go into the, like, flow into the conversation. I thought that was really nice. And also just kind of, I guess she was in a way pushing like gender boundaries and stuff like that, because the police officer kind of called her out for it, and I was like, hey, we don't do that anymore. So I was like, it's not cool, like, I don't like that. But again, it's a period piece or whatever. But and then when she's with the council members, she also has that, she's also stirring the pot there, and I was like, girl, I definitely think like we're starting to see what her master plan is, and it's going to be a mess. Like, it's going to be a big mess involving every single person. And I think that's going to be so interesting when like all of them are together and then all herself like disappear. That's going to be next level. Already know.
Right? Adam, what are your thoughts on Natalie and all her characters? By the way, their names are Magda, Alex, Elsa, and Rio. Those are her 4 people.
Ooh.
Those are coincidentally my fantasy names as well. So Natalie Dormer is absolutely amazing. I'm so glad that we live in 2020 now, where you get a show like this that shows broader representation. And the fact that, like, I just feel like if this was 10 years ago, a man would be playing this role. They would have figured out, and now I'm like, no, let's there's so many brilliant, actresses out there and she's embodying that. It's amazing. I think the fact that she's like you said, Toree, like kind of stirring the pot at each end. I was kind of I actually really liked her as Rio because I'm like, oh, at least she's telling them all to like band together, and like I was like, oh, that sounds good though, right? They should have each other's backs and everyone should be supporting each other. But you also know that it's coming with a little side of death and grief and usually something pretty terrible. But I think Natalie Dormer is absolutely amazing. But the characters she plays every episode, I mean, it really is, this is her show. She's she is the spine throughout this whole thing, and at each stage, at each scene, each different character, she's sprinkling in the seeds for anarchy. I think it's pretty awesome. Bryant, what about you?
Love it. What I love about her too is that the fact that every character is different. Like definitely you can tell when, of course, she's going to the other character. I did love, especially with Rio, how I almost didn't even recognize her. Like it looked like her, and I was like, oh, is that her again? Like, is she playing another character? And then she was, So it was so interesting to see that. And I 100% agree with you, Toree, the fact that they weaved in her backstory, because I feel like they haven't done that with any of the other characters she's played so far. Is set up a backstory, why she's here, what does she have to do with any of these other characters? So I love that. And let's shout out to the chat real quick, because Nas was saying he saw the spark between Rico and Mateo, just while we're on the topic. And, me and Cody saw that. So we're all here for it. I think it was really, really promising this episode. And I know we'll talk about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that'll be our next topic. Lyrik, how do you feel about Natalie Dormer and her many, many masks and hats she wears in the show?
Being able to see her work her magic on set was, you feel very privileged when you get to see an actor do their thing like that. She had this incredible mystique to her. Even when she was walking into the rehearsals, like she was really in the zone of Rio, which is all, what I've seen her work, right? But she was so in it, and it was like watching a master class, like this woman is really amazing, And Toree, to what you were saying about, all the gender bending and how he kind of calls out the gay character or whatever. The police officer, while we were filming, he kept on saying, guys, I'm so sorry, I have to keep saying this line. I have to keep saying this line. And honestly, I think the first time he said it, everybody in the cast, we kind of were like,
I sat back. I was like, he did not just use that.
We're not expecting that, But yeah, the show is shedding a lot of light on a lot of great things that it's so needed right now. It's nice, but Natalie has been amazing. She looks amazing, and her work is just stellar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
love her.
I'm really enjoying it. Today, especially like with Rio's reveal, I just thought that was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
But since it was brought up in the chat, we have to discuss this now. Mateo and Fly Rico, I swear there is so much chemistry between them. Like, I'm sorry, Mateo shows up at this club, is like looking for him, and even at the beginning of the episode when we open up on the brother. Oh my gosh, let's talk about the brother who's alive. So I was distracted by something else. He's talking to the brother, and he says that he was like, oh, he's like Fred Astaire, like he just thinks so highly of Fly Rico, and then like he goes there and they see each other through the crowd and they cut through the dance floor, and then they start dancing together. Oh my god, like I have feels for days with these two. Brian, please tell me your feels.
Yes, I am just echoing everything you said. It was so perfect. I loved it. And at the same token, I loved how it was just a little nuanced. Like it definitely wasn't like, super in your face about it. Like they're just like hinting at these little droplets, which I absolutely love. Because we kind of saw that little first encounter last episode, and we were like, oh my god, is there something there? And then obviously there is now something there as well. So I think they really set it up with that police officer, like you said, Lyrik, where he really emphasized like what was happening in the room. So I loved how they did that. That was definitely super interesting, and I just want to see more of them because like I'm in love with them already. And yeah.
Well, guys, it was great to spend 10 days with them on set.
Yeah,
do it over and over and over.
I
The thing
love.
that was like so interesting about this episode, I love how you said it, Cody, because he mentioned that he reminded him of Fred Astaire, and yesterday was actually Fred Astaire's birthday. So I was like, did they know that was going to happen?
Right.
Like, I was kind of shook. I was like, wait, did they plan this? Like, of
But
all
you know
people to
what,
say,
Toree?
they say Fred Astaire. And shameless plug, AfterBuzz, I wrote a article about him for his birthday, so you can go check it out.
Queen.
Yes, we'll have to.
Knowing John Logan, and the man is just brilliant, I'm sure that he did that purposely.
I kind of like, a part of me kind of felt like it was very intentional, because that's just not a name that you just throw out there just because, you know what I mean? So it was so interesting that they said it on the anniversary of his birthday. I was like, you know what? It's the attention to detail that really gets you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just so interesting. How about Adam? How did you, like, what are your senses on this whole dynamic between Rico and Mateo?
You know, it's funny. I picked up very lightly on what you're talking about. So now I want to go back and the chemistry in those scenes. I feel like Mateo is, like we saw in the beginning, you know, he's talking to the older brother whose name I'm blanking on right now. I apologize.
Raul.
Raul, thank you. Mateo is he's so lost right now. He just wants to belong. He wants to fit in. And I feel like anyone who just gives him a wing to kind of hide under from the storm, that's who he's going to seek refuge in. So I feel like he just wants to feel safe. He wants to feel like he fits in. He wants to feel like he belongs. And I think Rico's doing that. I mean, Rico's pretty cool. I totally get it. I mean, I'm like, oh, I'd hang out with Rico. I don't think I'd be cool enough to hang out with Rico, but I
Lyrik, what's your take on what I think is their chemistry?
Well, the scene was definitely designed where Fly Rico, that's kind of bringing him in is like his initiation, like acknowledging him, and they're there, the Bachucos are hanging out, and now you came to look for us and we're inviting you in, But it definitely didn't read in rehearsal the way it read when I saw it last night. The chemistry was really fierce,
Yes.
I was like that. That squint in the eye was special, So who knows where it's gonna go?
Yeah, and and it's so funny. Like we're sitting here, or at least me and Bryant are sitting here saying that we see something gonna happen. But honestly, like it might not even be a thing. Like
they better not swerve us. I will be pissed.
I'm right there with you. I'm be hella mad if they don't. If that's not, it doesn't end up being a thing. But at the same time, I could totally see them just being like, oh, yeah, they're not that, because now we have Councilmen Townsend, who apparently
broke back Townsend.
Yeah, that's right.
That's for that team. Funny. That's for the team.
I know that actor, and hopefully in a couple of weeks here we'll have him guest on the show. But I remember maybe 6 or 8 months ago, I think he said he had booked this gig, and he was like, "Oh, by the way," he's like, he's also, there's some scenes that you'll definitely want to check out that are very interesting. And I was like, oh, I wonder what that means. But now I'm like, oh wow, nice. He gave some looks in that scene, I gotta tell you. But I don't know if you figured out, but I think that's what his secretary, when he was like working out in the calisthenic gym, whatever, and she was talking about like his diet, which we took to mean like carbs and sugar, like you need to be a good boy, but clearly she was also saying,
no, I didn't catch that. Shut the front door and the back door. Oh my God.
Yeah, she was like, don't give your enemies more ammunition.
Yeah, which typically in politics always means someone's closeted and no one knows about it, and then they always try to use that as something. But I think it's pretty interesting, because it's always those are always the worst ones who make the most oppressive laws and pass for stuff that no one else can do it, and usually it's out of fear, self-loathing, and just self-hatred. So what a great character. He got in bed with the Nazis and he hates who he is, and at the same time every piece of effort that he's mounting for Los Angeles is just making it worse. It's adding to the divide, which I think is a palpable feeling that everyone can identify with right now, that we don't necessarily feel as united or as strong, maybe in this country right now, that we're kind of all being pitted against, well, they're doing something, well, they're doing something, well, so-and-so over here is doing something. I don't think they're, in our best interest. And I think we're all learning that when everyone sticks to their own side, we tend to get our asses kicked and everything sucks. Toree, to you.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, it's literally making everything worse. And of course, we know that like his, right hand woman doesn't really have his best interest anyway. So it's just kind of like, this is just going to crash and burn. Like, you already know it's going to happen. Well, I think it's going to happen. It might surprise me, but I doubt it because he's just stirring the pot everywhere. So it's just kind of like, because a part of me feels like he is, a part of me feels like he believes that what he's doing is right. And it's just not giving that. It's just not giving that. And then when he was working out, was he really working out? It looked like he was just standing there and the machine was like working out.
I know, what was that?
I was like, where did you even find that? That was, honestly, I was sitting there staring at it like, what type of machine is that? He's not even really doing anything, but I think that was just me getting distracted.
That machine's like, I don't know what it's actually called, but it like jiggles you and it supposedly like makes you like lose weight. They have like modernized ones that you just stand on and it like shakes your whole body, but
not like a shake weight.
Not like not like a shake weight.
That's like a shake weight.
Okay, that was
also there was a moment. Just real quick, did anyone else kind of pick up? There was like a moment at dinner where Councilmen Townsend drops the C word, which I thought was amazing for American television. Anytime they can do that, because I feel like the Brits really took that for a while, and they're like, we're gonna say it because we don't care, and Americans are like, oh, we're too scared. But when Townsend leaves, because he's clearly freaked out by the Nazis who say like, when we're marching down Sunset Boulevard, whatever, you're either gonna be under our boot or you're gonna be by our side. And Natalie Dormer kind of turns to the Nazis as they're laughing and joking, and she goes, you guys aren't really as smart as you think you are, and like walks away. I thought it was just a cool moment where she's just like, I've already seen the future. I'm using you guys right now as a path to more power, but it's not going to happen. And it did make me feel kind of good because I'm like, good. At least Nazis are going to die.
I know. And I was so sad. My man Dominic Sherwood is a Nazi. Like, come on, Shadowhunter, don't be a Nazi. Like, I can't deal.
I actually, that's so funny you bring him up because I googled him today. I was like, who is this man?
Yeah.
And I found out. But okay, so speaking of Nazis though, we have Detective, his name is on the tip of my tongue.
Lewis?
Thank you. That's not a hard name. Detective Lewis is getting a little deeper into his investigation of the Nazis, and he finds that his friends were murdered, and then he kidnaps that guy and threatens to throw him off a cliff, and we learn the name Werner von Braun. How do you, Toree, please tell me, what do you think about his new development in his case?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little shook. Like, I knew that, of course, we know that he's a detective, but when he took the guy to the cliff and basically almost beat his face in, I was like, I did not think you had this in you. He's he's a detective that is like, standing up for everyone, on the morally good side. And that's not saying that morally good people can't like have a good right hook, but it just really threw me off. And I was like, wait, what is going on? And I was like, I think especially seeing his partners or friends or whatever, after learning about their death, I think he just kind of like, it hit home in a different type of way. And he was like, if nobody else is going to move this process along, I sure as hell will. So it still had me shook, but I wasn't surprised because I'm like, I can only imagine the pent up emotion that all of these things brings. Like, eventually when you're working in that department, you're going to have a case that hits home to yourself. Like, I can only imagine. I knew it was without time that he was going to have something that was like, okay, you know what, enough is enough, and I need to get to the bottom of this right now. So it was a lot of blood, but
it messed up that guy's face.
It had me a little shook.
Plus, Detective Lewis definitely has a little darker side to him, and he definitely doesn't play by the rules. Like, he took those bullets from the coroner and was like, don't tell anybody about this, at least for a few days. So he's got a side to him that we're starting to see more of.
Plus,
and these storylines keep intensifying more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Oh
wait
yeah.
and see.
I'm not ready.
I just want to say too, at the end of that, Nathan Lane had a great line with that kid, because the kid was like, "This has been a really bad week for me," and he's like, "Kid, I've had a bad week, and I'm a Jew." That's saying something. Like, it was so Nathan Lane being classic Nathan Lane. Just love it.
I was so confused, by the way, while you're on that topic, because I thought he was speaking. Wait, I'm so confused. Maybe I don't want to like.
He was
put my foot in my mouth.
He was speaking German, right?
German, right?
Well, there were a lot
when he ripped off his collar
from Germany.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, right? I was like, at first I thought he was like playing the other side and he was a Nazi, and then when he said he was a Jew, I was like, so like my head was like upside down, because I was like, what's happening? So I was confused in that moment, but
by the way, they talk about Werner von Braun. Just wanted to say real quick, I was looking up Werner Magnus Maximilian Freher von Braun was a German and later American aerospace engineer and space architect. He was the leading figure in the development of rocket technology in Nazi Germany and a pioneer of rocket and space technology in the United States. So this guy probably had an idea that, like, Nazis were going to put the first man on the moon or something, I guess.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and then another development is Sister Molly and Detective Santiago. They are just so smitten for each other. Adam, tell me how you feel about that whole development.
Well, I feel really good about it, Cody, which makes me nervous. Because television shows, once you feel good about something, that person has to die. So my guess is something's going to happen to Sister Molly. They're, having fun. He won her that Popeye doll, which of course Amy Madigan, no, not Amy, I think Amy Madigan, yeah, her mom, when she goes back later, sings on Popeye the Sailor Man and that creepy
ass song. That was so freaky.
Turns off the one light in the living room. That's
and
so
she just sat in the darkness.
I was like, so she's just gonna sit in that?
Yeah. What the hell? What the hell was that? So anyway, that was creepy. And then they kissed. And then you saw that creepy lurch guy chauffeur following them. So I'm like, well, this guy's clearly going to do something at one point. And then I looked at her, I'm like, well, she's going to die. And then I'm like, oh, I'm sure they're all probably involved, which, as Lewis told us, Detective Lewis, looks like Sister Molly might have been getting a little canoodling on with Mr. Hazlitt.
I know, I was so sad about that. I wanted her to be good. Like, maybe she is good. It's still, I'm sure we're going to get some kind of development. But when they do that in there, I was like, God, she's exactly who they thought she was, So I don't think it's, again, this, like you were saying, Adam, this whole, like, roller coaster. So I feel like they're making us think she's not likable, but then she is going to be likable. And then maybe she's going to die. And then I'm just going to be upset. But yeah, when she was there with Tiago, I was like, come on, sister. Like, get it, girl. Like,
Toree, how about you?
It was interesting. Like, I want Santiago and Molly to work out for, I don't know why, because we just met them, so I don't know why I'm so invested. But like Adam said, I don't get like too invested with any character since I lost Ned Stark. Like, I just cannot attach myself to characters anymore, because we see how that worked out. But I was actually surprised that they kissed, only because, I think in the last episode, Molly was talking about how she has everybody following her and making sure her virtue is intact and things like that. And I was like, well, I'm pretty sure if they're trying to protect your virtue, you can't just be out here kissing anybody that you please. So I was I was like, Molly, now the date, okay, we can do the date. But the kissing, you already know this is going to stir up some problems, because I knew it was going to be an issue. And then when her mom was sitting in the dark, I was like, girl, that is weird. Like, okay, sit in the dark for suspense, you don't want her to know that you're there, but the fact that she turned off the light after, I was like, but we all know that you're sitting here in the dark, so now this is awkward. Like, should I just walk away? Should I turn off the light again so I can see? Like, are you just gonna sit here all night? What are you gonna do? Usually I feel like in movies or whatever, we kind of see that whole like parents sitting in the dark waiting up for their child thing. They'll like go back upstairs after they're done, reprimanding them or whatever. So the fact that she turns light back off, I was like, I guess you can sit here in the dark if you want to, but I'm gonna go to my room.
Yeah, her mom's creepy. That was so strange that she literally just like turn the light off and be like, all right, I did what I needed to do. Lyrik, how are you invested in this Molly and Santiago relationship at all, or
I'm not invested yet, but just overall, I love how there's just so many storylines that are pushing envelopes. but they're pushing envelopes with purpose, and that's what I'm excited for everyone to keep seeing in the development of the series.
Oh yeah. And I agree with you. I think they definitely, nothing's there just for the sake of doing it. Like there's a reason behind every decision.
It's very intelligent television.
Yeah. And then in their little interaction, we learned that Santiago actually had a sister and a brother who passed away from cholera. I thought that was, I don't know how important that is, but I just thought it was an interesting little find.
See, that's one of those look at your phone moments because I missed that completely. I might have looked at my phone and not heard that. I heard cholera and I was like, oh, okay. But
yeah, he like very like casually was like, oh yeah, like my sister and they both passed away. And I was like, huh?
Right.
Yeah. I just feel like that feels very like oddly apropos of now, that like one day the kids now, like anyone from ages 3 to 12 will be walking around as an adult saying, oh yeah, like either I got corona or someone else did, and I lived and they didn't. I just feel like there's so many weird cases right now where they don't necessarily know what causes what, genetic factors. There's 9-year-old people getting it who are getting better. Forgive me for talking about like current stuff right now, but it just kind of felt weird where I was like, oh right, like cholera, that's something you think of from like the early 1900s, but I'm like, oh, corona will be like our cholera like one day, and we're we're in the 20s, so now it'll be happening. Like it just it feels weird how it feels completely out of time, and something where you're like, I couldn't really identify with that. It's another time, he's another person from another side. I don't necessarily understand it, but there's these moments where you go, oh, I feel like I can completely understand what they're talking about right now, because there's I feel like uncertainty and everything like that, that's kind of universal when it comes to just human life in general.
Oh yeah. It's a crazy world we live in, and apparently it's always been crazy. But you guys, I don't know about you, I'm ready to hear from Lyrik, and I want to get as much information out of him as possible, like what you went through, what you did. Please elaborate on, do you guys have questions that I'm sure that you have to ask him, because I want to hear how your experience was.
Yeah, I guess we can just like kick off with that dance scene, because honestly that was probably one of my favorite scenes from this series so far. I mean, I know we're only like 3 episodes in, but I mean the way that it was performed, the way that it was filmed, the costume arrangement, like it was honestly like just a beautiful part of the episode. So I think we will all want to hear just about what that was like behind the scenes, the preparation, just any detail that you are willing to share, we are willing to hear.
Yeah. Well, the choreographer, Tommy Tong, I'm going to tell you, I think he's, it's my first time working with him, but he was brilliant with the research that he did to create this scene inside the Crimson Cat. I love how he wanted, well, you could tell they're aiming for such authenticity in every community that they're representing in the series. And and sometimes you could see some of those things get watered down, but he was so adamant about this being so particular to the time period, to the dance style that existed in these clubs in this era. So just seeing the way that he puzzled all of this together, and the research that he did was really awesome. And you really respect when you walk into a situation like that. And the creatives they really did their homework, and they didn't want anything to be winged. Like every single dancer was choreographed in that scene. It looks like it's a free for all, but it is not. It is like he strategically choreographed all 104 dancers.
Wow.
Interesting.
That is crazy. I remember I was telling them in previous episodes how I kind of, every time I watch the series, I feel like it's like a dark, twisted West Side Story. So when they were dancing, I was like, look at this, another West Side Story. But
yeah, and we're back for episode 9 and 10. There's also
nice.
Love dance.
More huge things going on at the Crimson Cat later on in the series.
Ooh, can't wait. That makes me excited for those episodes, because like I said, that dance number, like that sold me. I was like, I'm here, I'm present.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing, and the work that he did was great. When you get to work on anything that's a period piece, it's always really nice, because you're really, you're walking into a full fantasy. you know,
Mm-hmm.
and they just did beautiful work. You know, I'm really proud to be part of the project.
I love that. You mentioned that it was like of course, a big number of dancers. What was like the audition process like? I just want to know from like a dancer perspective.
Well, fortunately for me, you know, I'm a bit of a veteran nowadays.
Yes.
So when I found
Okay.
out about the project, I was I wasn't around for the auditions, but you know, I asked my agents if they could just go ahead and submit. You know, I still want to see if I had a chance to get in, because once I caught wind of what they were doing and what they were creating, you know, for me, I know I don't normally do much work as a dancer anymore, unless it's something that really catches my attention. And what they're doing with this show was so impressive to me that I really wanted to be a part of it. And fortunately, Tommy saw my little dance clip of me doing what I do and what I've been doing for years, and he was game, you know. And they brought me in, you know, like the dancers had all been casted for about 3 months, and they casted me like a week before the rehearsal started.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Look at you.
Yes. Is this your main style?
well, you know, I'm technically trained. I did the whole. I'm an art school kid, but you know, yes, Latin music. You know, Latin choreography is something that you know I really specialize in. I'm Puerto Rican from Chicago, so you know, you know, anytime that there's a Latin project in Hollywood, you know, I want to be a part of all of them. And fortunately, last year, being part of, you know, filming Penny Dreadful and working on In the Heights have been like huge highlights for last year.
Amazing.
That's so cool. And Lyrik, for the series itself, is it linear or non-linear? Like, will season 2 be at all connected to what this is, or is it a totally separate storyline? Do you happen to know by any chance?
I don't know. I don't know, because, you know, like everyone was wondering if this was going to have any connection to the previous series that they had on Dreadful. And, you know, it's the same idea, but totally, you know, it's a different show, you know? So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how he sees, you know, this could probably be an ongoing thing, because, you know, from the way the producers explained to us how they started building this, he really wants to expose what happened in Los Angeles and how the division of these communities happened, you know? So it might be something that he wants to dive into and continue on with the story, you know? I know that the show's getting great reviews, so I'm really hopeful that they get the second season.
Yes, more dance numbers.
Please.
Yes, please.
Well, more dance numbers, more culture, you know, more
Absolutely.
inclusivity, more representation. You know, you know, I'm telling you, I have not been this impressed on a project in a long time, and it was just a beautiful space to be in, with seeing everyone represented. You know, it was really dope. It was really nice to see.
Love that.
Yeah, and like I guess like, not that, like I said before, I'm not a dancer, but I'm like an actor that moves well. Okay. And so like growing up, like I did musical theater, and like I would be in dance numbers on stage. How I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like what is the difference between like being on a stage or behind someone or on a dance floor, and like to do a dance number as intricate as what you guys did on camera, where they have to constantly like cut, keep going, pick up from here, like how was all that?
Well, you know, for the veterans, it's a piece of cake. It's another
day.
Yeah.
But you know, I think you know, again, in projects like this, it's also, I love how the age demographic that they worked with was wide range, you know, and I think, you know, the kids were a bit impressed how much stamina the veterans still have, just because we know how to do this already. And we know when the camera's on us, and we know when it's not. So we know when to pick up the pace and when not. And when that split second you feel that brush of energy and you know you got to go full out. So, you know, some of us build the sixth sense, you know, when you're on set, and you just know when you got to turn on, you know, to the full out extent.
That is, I cannot, because like literally that was like the first thing I said watching the show, I was like, oh my gosh, like that must be so hectic to be a part of that. Did I cut out there for a second?
You did, but it's okay, you're back.
Okay.
Sorry. You didn't want to see your face anymore.
I will
like,
tell you,
bye.
you know, the rehearsal process was intense and it was long. And and good old Hollywood is hurry up and wait for a lot of it, but Tommy and his team, again, they had it so together that it was super productive. But we got in there at 6 a.m. and we left at 9 o'clock at night, and we danced all the way through.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's what it takes to be able to create a scene like that, to be able to sell the fantasy with that kind of intensity and that type of power. It takes that type of work, so it was well worth it.
Yeah, well, your rehearsal process is, just to ask the question, because I know you guys come back for episode 9 and 10, you said?
Uh-huh.
So you guys learned all of those numbers in that one rehearsal process for those episodes, and then you guys kind of or was it spread out? It was spread out?
It's separate
My
things,
goodness.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so we rehearsed for 10 days for what we did in episode 3.
Okay.
Then then we rehearsed for 7 days for what's going to be in 9 and 10.
Because I know, sometimes I am also an art school kid and trained in dance, and sometimes they will really have you learning 4 to 5 dances in them 10 days, and you have to remember each and every one of them. So I really wouldn't have been surprised if you were like, yep, in these 10 days, we learned every number that we had.
Yeah, listen, and not to put anybody out there like that, but a few people crashed and burned, because it was tough, but again, for me, those are the kind of projects that are exciting. Throw it all at me. Give me everything. I want to learn it all. So for me, it was great. I loved it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's always fun. Especially, I think for the most part, we're all pretty much artists, entertainers. It's just, if you can learn anything anywhere to hone your skills, you got to just do it.
And I give a lot of props to the actors, because the actors they're not really dancers or have any type of dance training. And the level of vulnerability that they have to have in front of 100 dancers.
Right.
Oh my God, yeah.
Dancers.
Yeah, we made sure that we gave them a pat on the back and encourage them, because that's kind of terrifying. That you're a star of a show, but you're not a dancer, and you're in this huge dance sequence with 100 dancers staring at you. But they were great. They were awesome. And Natalie was the one that really I'm so amazed by her after seeing her work on set. I'm so amazed, because the girl goes in. She is.
That's so cool. And I can't I've done stuff, I've been extras on shows before, but I've never actually been so close to somebody so big. So that's really exciting.
It was. She's awesome.
You guys, I don't know how much time left. Oh, we have 5 minutes left. Let's talk about let's just jump into predictions real quick, right? So they gave us a lot, especially in the last 3 minutes of the show. They gave us a solid they gave us these little vignettes of Mateo got his little tattoo, and we saw Maria Townsend, and it was hectic. So you guys, Adam, please tell me what your predictions are, what you're seeing in the future.
Well, I'll tell you what, Cody, I'm predicting a lot of death, destruction, and just overall bad things.
Dang.
Councilmen Townsend, he's got some stuff going on. He's with boys on his downtime. That's okay. It's his private time, so he's allowed to do. Just not socially accepted back then with a lot of people. Then you got Sister Molly. She's clearly connected to Hazlitt. She was having an affair with him, most likely, from everything that we kind of presupposed and found out. There was a mansion purchased in Malibu with church money and some tax. They check it out. Clearly connected to that. You're basically finding out that every person who's in a position of power is dirty, and every person who should be good is dirty. And then Tiago, who you're rooting for the whole time, he put a bullet in his brother's vein, so he's got some, he's dealing with some stuff as well. I think it's going to be a lot of misfortune. I think there's going to be a lot of pain, but you're going to see it all forged out and become part of, again, the history of Los Angeles. I think it's very cool. What Lyrik said before, we're learning how these communities were built. We're learning who decided to build motorways where, how we, you know, transition people. Like, look, I grew up in Cleveland. You know, I'm very used to a downtown area that has sucky transportation and makes it so that you can't get downtown. That was designed for a reason, so that you don't encourage business to go certain places.
Right.
So I'm very interested to see how it keeps going. Toree, what about you?
I definitely think that we're going to see, I always call her the goddess of like less death, the one that's in the white, because we didn't see her this episode. And I still kind of feel like the brother that, I don't want to say like the brother that recovered from his injury, I still feel like there's something tied to that. Like, I don't really think that he's just allowed to kind of get up and walk freely, because he was kind of brought back to life by the help of that goddess or angel of less death. So I kind of want to see like I don't know if this is a prediction, but I definitely would like to see just kind of if he kind of has this like mortal death to that angel or something like that. Like, I just kind of feel like there's something else there, or maybe the mom, we didn't see her in this episode either, so maybe like she has to do something. So I definitely think we're going to like get into that, because just something's just not telling me that he's just gonna, you know, get out the bed and just start walking and everything's gonna be fine like how he was before. So I think I want to see that. I think I don't know, it's hard to make predictions for the show because everything just like flips upside down in every episode, so you never know what's going to go on. But I definitely think we're going to see these corners that the angel of death is stirring the pot in just kind of strengthen. I don't know if it's going to come to a head in the next episode, but we're definitely going to see these kind of like groups of people rally together in their own respective corners, kind of strengthened by numbers, strengthened by spirit and hope, and then kind of coming together in a sense. So I think that's what we're going to see next.
Yeah.
Bryant, what are your predictions?
I don't know if this is a prediction or if this is just really like totally off the wall, like my own weird imagination, but something is telling me that there's going to be a connection between Councilmen Townsend and Mateo and Rico, and it's not just because they're all gay. There's going to be
I'm right
something
there with you.
there.
I'm right there with you.
This is like a really weird thought in my head. I want like Mateo and Rico to use like this allure they have over him, or like this allure that they have to like convince him to do something else. I don't know, like maybe I'm watching too much Freeform, but I feel like that's what's gonna happen. And then shout out to our friends in the chat too, Nas and Taylor. They say what I actually was thinking as well, that the original Penny Dreadful had a lot of more supernatural elements, so I do want to see more of that. I feel like especially this episode, we hardly saw any of that. So I definitely want to see more of that supernatural aspect and how it kind of flips things upside down, like you said, Toree. So that's my prediction.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. I'm right there with you, Brian, and I'll talk about that in a sec. Lyrik, how about you? I don't know if you know more that's to come or if you can predict, but what's your future vision telling you?
No, you know, I know quite a bit of what's about to happen.
Okay.
So I'm gonna leave it there. So because
he's listening to our predictions like, y'all
he's
like, that's not gonna happen.
He's like, you're crazy.
But now it is gonna get super interesting. You know, again, it's it's intelligent television. So
awesome.
You're in for a good one.
So yeah, Brian, I agree with you. I do think that Mayor Townsend is gonna somehow come together in that sense with Rico and Mateo. I have a weird little thing where that cop who came in and busted them that Rico knows, I think because we think Rico's gay, that cop is secretly gay, and that's gonna,
there we go.
And then that's with City Hall, I think that's how it's gonna all tie in together.
There's a foursome, there we go. This is, Showtime, it's not Freeform.
I do think that, I don't think Sister Molly is as guilty as they're making her out to be. I think I think that'll unravel this whole mystery with the Malibu mansion. I think is gonna really unleash a whole new thing. The mom is obviously she might even be less crazy than we think she is, except she's kind of a creep. And then who else is there? The older brother Raul, who was revived. I think because when the brother was like being like, oh yeah, you did this, and Tiago's the one that shot you. We didn't get anything else from the rest of the episode. So I think he doesn't, and I think he knows something weird is happening because he didn't even realize he had shot all those cops. So I think he's like, what the heck is going on? Like, I don't know what he's talking about. But yeah, this show is giving us a lot to digest and a lot to think about. But you guys, let's to sign out. Where can we find y'all on social media and anywhere else, whatever you're working on? Adam.
Hey, what's up, guys? Be sure to check me out, Horribly Hollywood Single, AfterBuzz Original Show on YouTube and Instagram, or shoot me emails if you ever have any bad dates you want discussed on the show, horriblyhollywoodsingle@gmail.com. I'm Adam Carr. Thanks so much.
How about you, Brian?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at the Bryant Santos, and catch me on AfterBuzz TV's Quarantine with the Stars.
Toree.
You guys can find me on Instagram at Toxic Model or on Twitter at Toree with 2 E's. And you can check me on some other panels and also some of our articles that are on AfterBuzzTV.com and Black Hollywood Live. And just, click around, see what tickles your fancy.
Heck yeah. And Lyrik, please tell us where we can find you, anything you're working on. Like, let us know what's going on. Where are you?
You'll find everything. All my social medias are at Lyrik Cruz, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and I keep my pages up to date with all the upcoming projects and cool stuff I'm working on. So
sweet.
I mean there.
And you can find me on Twitter as Cody_Ep and on Instagram where I'm a little more present as Cody Ep, CODYYEPP. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching. Lyrik, thank you so much for being with us tonight. This has been really cool and enlightening. We look forward to seeing what's next.
Yeah.
And thanks again, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.